Pretty straightforward and not much to it. Hey, Robert, tell us, do you feel as confident as Bryson does in his strategy, doing what he does best and just overpowering this golf course this week?
Maybe. I don't think this is a course that you're meant to try to overpower, but he said something for a deep thinker was pretty a shallow thought. He says this course suits a bomber if he hits it straight. Well, find me a course that doesn't suit a bomber if he hits it straight, and I'll quit playing golf forever. Bryson also has a small edge with his strength, and I don't mean clubhead speed, distance off the tee, but the actual stronger you are, the actual weightlifting stronger you are, the easier it is to hold on to the club out of the thick rough and not let it get twisted and turned over. So there is a small edge in that too if he does miss some of the fairways. But Bryson, as much as he's proved us wrong with all the way he's changed his body and speed and still played great for a while, he's also proved us right about his patience. And we didn't see it when he was playing great. Then his game slipped just a little. And we've seen a couple meltdowns in the last, 2 or 3 tournaments with rules officials and cameramen. So that hasn't changed yet. He can't get caught up into that stuff if he's going to win this week.
Yeah, I agree with Robert wholeheartedly. This is a patience test, and I haven't really seen much patience out of Bryson DeChambeau. Obviously, this is the big experiment, and we'll see where this goes on this golf course. Um, Bombers golf course, I'm not so sure. I think you got to shape the golf ball around this golf course because these trees, they will gather a golf ball and they will keep the golf ball. It's not going to spit the golf ball out every single time. So he's got to be aware. There's a lot of shaping to each tee shot. He just can't start going over trees and cutting off dog legs. That can bring a lot of danger in to where you drive the golf ball. But if he gets hot with the driver, watch out for Bryson DeChambeau. He can think his way around the golf course, but to try to overpower this golf course, I'm not so sure that's a great strategy. But if you would say day, Bryson DeChambeau would say night, and he would argue on those points exactly. So we know exactly where he stands. He is the scientist. He is the experiment. If he gets hot with the driver, he could really contend on the weekend.
We've seen just what a difference his extra distance has made since the restart. I mean, looking at those results here, he's coming off a string of 7 top 8 finishes, including that win at the Rocket Mortgage. He can bomb his way around the majority of the PGA Tour. But I mean, Rory McIlroy said you're taking a chance if you try and bomb it down there 100% because there is that risk factor. Are you convinced in his strategy that he's taking on this week?
I'm not convinced. No. In fact, listening to Bryson reminds me of listening to Phil Mickelson back in 2002 at the Players Championship. It's a press conference me and some buddies still talk about. We were leaning on Phil. Phil, you haven't won a major. Why don't you be more patient? Play more like Jack. Change your strategy. And he said, listen, the fact is, if I change the way I play golf, 1, I won't enjoy the game as much. And 2, I won't play to the level I've been playing. So I won't ever change. Not tomorrow, Sunday, or at Augusta or the U.S. Open or any tournament. Of course, he wins the Masters 2 years later, wins at Baltusrol on the PGA in 05. He starts saying, oh, you know what? I wish someone had told me to play more from the fairway. He actually did learn to downshift and hit more cut shots. And I think that Bryson DeChambeau is in the realm of Phil Mickelson 15, 20 years ago when Phil was all about bombing it and all about distance. Bryson is very young still. I think you can be in love with distance on certain venues, at certain events. Major championships are about precision and accuracy as much as about length off the tee. John Daly, who won 2 major championships, including at St. Andrews, it wasn't just all big drives. He had a great pair of hands, as Robert and John Cook can tell you. He was in the top 5 at one point in putting average on the PGA Tour. It's not just about hitting it 350, especially this week.
What do you think, Robert?
I agree with you, Damon, that this course is going to require more strategy, but I also don't agree that he needs to take the exact same strategy as a Tiger or Morikawa. If you let's say you put Bryson laying back off the tee and Tiger and Morikawa, they're all hitting from the same shot, same spot in the fairway. Those two are going to pick Bryson apart. He can't hang with them iron play wise. So he doesn't mean he needs to go out there and try to overpower it. It doesn't mean that he's going to play it the way, John Daly even played crooked stick. But there will be times when he does need to play to his strength. Each player has a strength, and the driver right now is Bryson's strength. He can't just give it away but he's got to be really smart about it. The way he said, "Oh, I can just bomb it pretty much. It's wide open course." I think that's a little hubris talking.
That rough is not just thick; it's 3.5 inches in length. It's the type of rough, and it's also the type of weather. Cookie, you know, in the morning, it's not just rough; it's wet rough. It's that dew. It's that marine layer. You got some real questionable, funky lies that are going to force these players to guess a lot. I mean, can you explain that to the folks, that it's not just the length of the rough, it's the quality of the rough, and it's the quality of the weather hovering over this golf course?
Damon, you have dense rough, you have dense air, you have heavy air, you have heavy rough, it's wet, ball doesn't go as far. And you got to remember, too, that there's some trees off some of these tees. It's not wide open right off the sides of these tees. So you're going to have to shape the ball sometimes. You just can't send one, over top of the trees, because there's a tree right there, right off the, left side of the tee or the right side of the tee. And like I said before, these trees will gobble up golf balls, and they won't spit them out. They'll keep them forever. So you're right. We have dense air, we have dense rough, we have heavy air, we have heavy rough. And in the morning, golf ball does not want to go very far. So it's a big adjustment, and he just can't sit there and overpower this golf course.
Yeah, a possible swallow of the ego this week for Bryson DeChambeau. He won't be averaging 350 yards this week because the numbers just won't be that big. But it's the ultimate test. Can his newfound mass and distance test up to major championship golf? It's a big question that we've been asking since the restart of the season.